All right, guys, good afternoon. Just kind of in the midst of getting prepared for Miami this week. We talked obviously on Monday, and not a whole lot has changed in our approach. Just realizing that this is the best team that we've played all year to this point. So they're enormous. Their offensive line. I mean, Chuck's done a great job recruiting there. That staff, really impressed with their skill, and they got some guys that I mean just are really good football players. Who are going to be a challenge for us both offensively and defensively. So our guys are working really hard this week, and we realize it's going to take a very good effort, our best effort so far to put us in position. We have great respect for their program. Obviously, 3 years ago when we played this game, it was a great, challenging football game. So we're expecting the same. We hope we can do our best to give them a game.
Questions for Coach?
Good afternoon, Coach. Charles Grievous here with GoBlackKnights.com. You're heading into the fourth game of the season, and obviously you and your coaching staff can do and do find areas that the team and individual players can improve upon. But on the other side of the equation, are there any areas of play that you've really been satisfied with and hope those areas continue to kind of maintain the true north in their play as you move forward in the season?
There's individual guys that I think have played really well, and I've just been very pleased with Christian Anderson and the job that he's done. I think that group of B-backs that we've had have run the ball really hard. They've done a nice job blocking as well. Obviously, when we run the ball successfully, there's a lot of people that are a part of that, and our offensive line is played really tough. They certainly can improve, and they will. Christian Anderson can improve. B-backs can improve. They all can. But I think individually, Christian Anderson's been a real bright spot for us. Defensively, Markwell Broughton, just the aggressiveness he's playing with on defense, and the interception last week and how he was just on the attack to get that ball. We've done a good job against the run on defense, and that's been encouraging to see. And I really feel like our kicking game is playing well. We had a kickoff return against us last week for a touchdown, which was disappointing, but literally we were grabbing guys and saying, here, line up here, look at this card. Here's what you're going to do on this particular kick coverage. Because we had some starters that we had pulled off and guys that we wanted to keep healthy and really just give some of those guys an opportunity to get in the game and play. And that's not a good reason. That's just an excuse. We got to do a better job of coaching all those guys and making sure those things don't happen with any group out there. But I think the kicking game's been a bright spot. We've hit all of our field goals. I'm glad we haven't had to punt, though. I think we got one of the nation's great punters. We haven't had to use him, and I hope we don't have to. But there's a lot of good things going on, along with a whole lot of things we got to get better at.
Great. And you mentioned a little bit about the aggressiveness of some of the players on the defense. For me, the physicality and athleticism and that combination of this year's defensive unit is somewhat unique as I look around the college football world. Is a combination of those attributes something that the defensive unit, led by obviously Coach Woody, takes pride in?
I think Coach Woody does a great job of leading that group. He's an outstanding coordinator. We've got a really good staff, and our kids play hard. They care about each other. They take pride in the brand. They take pride in that unit, the defensive unit. It's not just Markwell. I mean, obviously Andre Carter's gotten a lot of notoriety for the sacks, and he's just become a real force at his position. We've been able to move him around, and I think that's one of the neat things Coach Woody has done, is found a way for him to be in position to help us make the plays that are needed. Nolan Cockrell's just a tough guy, and love having him in there in the interior, right in the middle. The defense just is built around him. His spirit and his toughness, I think, are right at the heart of who we are defensively. The back end's played pretty well. I think those guys have done a good job. Western Kentucky lit us up pretty good. But I think they are tremendous in terms of throwing the ball. Their quarterback and we gave up some plays, but I think those guys have done a pretty good job, and we haven't, we've turned some guys loose, but just getting flat beat on long balls and those kinds of things, we haven't had that happen, and that's important. That's important in our defense. I think it's important just overall in playing good defense. So I hope we can keep that from happening as well as we continue. But I'm happy with that group. We're probably not, statistically in the same place as we were a year ago, but obviously playing different teams and different schemes, and I still think we're playing good defense.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Ken Kreitzer, SAL Radio. We listened a little bit to Coach Chuck Martin's press conference this week, and he was very complimentary. He said Army plays like they're storming the hill. But then he went into talking about cut blocking quite at some length by the academies. And I was wondering, is there anything really different about what you do in blocking or what academy teams tend to do in the triple option offense from what a standard team does in run blocking in college football?
I think there's some differences. In the interior, our offensive line on the blocks, trying to get people from the backside cut off, we often block below the waist. So much of football now, when you watch people run those plays that stretch out toward the boundary, or the interior zone runs, or the power, there's not a lot of cut blocking in the box. It doesn't mean other people don't utilize it. They do. There's guards that'll pull and cut and log an end, or we'll cut a linebacker. There's guys across the formation. Those H-back guys are crossing the formation. They're oftentimes utilizing cut blocks, but it's a huge part of our scheme to try to get people cut off. And we're different than those zone teams, obviously being under center and the ball hitting so quickly. But our run plays don't have the same potential always to go play side or backside like the zone plays when that guy is far deeper in the backfield. And then on the perimeter, the cut blocks on the perimeter, our slot backs and our tight ends and wide receivers, our running backs, utilizing the cut block on the perimeter is a big part of our offense. So I know that Chuck's like a lot of coaches. They get a little worked up sometimes about cut blocks, but it's just another tool to be able to effectively block another player. And the rules are such that all those blocks happen from the front, and they can see the blocks coming. And I know Chuck feels, and probably a lot of people feel, that that's just a block that's utilized by the academies, but there's other people that utilize the cut block, and we try to use it as much as possible. We feel like it's effective in our offense, and I don't feel like tackling below the waist is a whole lot different than blocking below the waist. The one thing about blocking below the waist is the guy getting blocked can see the block coming. A guy getting tackled below the waist doesn't always see that tackler coming. So I know he feels like it maybe should be outlawed, but I'd be for outlawing cut blocking below the waist when they outlaw tackling below the waist. I think it'd be a nice 1-for-1.
Thanks. Hey, just wanted to ask you, I noticed Miami's got 2 defenders, Mike Brown, a defensive back who's got 5.5 tackles for loss. And then also a sophomore defensive lineman, Lonnie Phelps, has got 5 tackles for loss also. Is that from the Long Island game, or are they just really good at putting pressure on the backfield?
They're good players. They're good players, and they find their way into the backfield. And that's something that defensively, watching them from 3 years ago when they played here in 2018, they are very sound. They're well coached. They play hard and physical, and they've got really good players. And so, as I said, I think this is the best team we'll have faced so far this year. And that's not just the talent that they have, which they are a very talented team, but also the way they execute and how hard they play and how well coached they are. I think they're just a very solid football team, and Chuck's done a great job building that football program.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Jeff, Ken McMillan. Has there been any movement afoot in college football regarding the cut blocks? Any movement to, ban it, modify it in recent years? And, should there?
There's been a lot of modifications to it. And there's a lot of people that want to try to eliminate it from the game. I think it would be foolish to do that. It would change the game, not only for us, but for a lot of people. And like I said, it's blocking below the waist is not dangerous to the person getting blocked. Getting tackled below the waist is, in my opinion, far more dangerous than getting tackled or getting blocked below the waist, because as it is, the blocks have to happen from the front. And a tackler can tackle a guy from the side and from the back. And, when a guy's wrapped up high and I'm fighting for more yards, nothing stops a defender from taking a shot at his knee or his ankle to get him to the ground. That happens all the time. That to me is way more dangerous than a one-on-one block where the guy is going below the waist. And chop blocks are illegal. That's where somebody posts a guy, or he's blocking a guy up high, and somebody else comes in, another player comes in and blocks below the waist. Those are illegal. And those are illegal because they're dangerous, but they're not any more dangerous than a guy that's being tackled up high and then gets tackled down low. So it's just part of football. It's a tough sport, and it's a physical game. And again, the sometimes the most effective way to tackle guys below the waist, sometimes the most effective way to block him is below the waist.
Do you think your friend Chuck is just trying to gain a little sympathy, maybe put a message into somebody's ear, perhaps referees?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he'll get his chance to work the referees over in pregame. All the coaches do. I've obviously never been able to listen to an opposing coach talk to the officials before the game, but I could probably write the script for them every time they play us. They talk about chop blocks and blocking below the waist, and that's just the nature of it. They've been doing that since as long as I've been coaching. I mean, Paul Johnson and I worked together for a long time. We were always having to battle that, and the same conversations were happening 30 years ago that are happening right now. And so that's just Chuck. Chuck's going to tell it like it is. He was like that when we played together at Millikan. He's just going to tell it like it is. I got no problem with that.
Sure. And then yesterday, Tennessee announced its schedule for next year, and obviously Army is no longer on that schedule. Can you tell us how that developed, and what are your thoughts about losing not only a game against an SEC foe, but now you got to fill a game on 12 months notice?
Well, I wasn't part of the conversations, and Tennessee's got to do whatever they think is best for their program. That's just the way it is. It's not the first team that's canceled a game with us, and there's been times where we probably have had to cancel a game or change a game. So it's just part of the business. It's part of college football, and I didn't think twice about it. We'll work hard to find an opponent to replace that game. Our athletic department does a great job. Mike Buddy does a tremendous job leading this program or leading this department, and he'll work on it. He'll have people working on it. And I think playing Army and playing at a place like West Point, or having a storied program like West Point travel to a school is desirable for a lot of teams. And for some teams, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the schedule, or whatever reason. And that's just part of it. I think a lot of it has to do with the offense. And I'll tell you, we play against this offense twice a year, and it's a pain in the butt. So I can understand if you're in the middle of a season and you're looking at playing us, you got to kind of change gears a little bit. That's not always easy to do. And that's just the nature of it. So it's okay. We wish him well. And Coach Heupel's a great coach. I'm sure he's going to do a great job winning a lot of games down there at Tennessee. And you know, that's their business.
Yeah, but you were already 3 years into this job when this game was agreed upon. So it's not like it was a mystery as to what Tennessee was going to face. So I'm just curious as to why they pull out now as opposed to earlier.
I'll call them and ask them. I don't know. It's none of my business. Like I said, we're gonna play who's on the schedule, whoever it is. We're gonna try to do our best. I can tell you, Tennessee's got a great program. I've got tremendous respect for that program, that institution, for Coach Heupel, as I said, their AD, Mr. White. I mean, that's a great storied program itself. So they've got to do the things that they feel are best for their school and their program, and it doesn't matter to me. We'll move on and we'll play another game. We're not going to cancel the season, or we'll go find another game. We'll play.
Thanks, Jeff.
Few more for Coach.
Hey, Coach, how happy are you with the discipline of the team? There's been few penalties, and you've almost played pretty much turnover free in the first 3 games.
Well, we have had one turnover, and that's a little disappointing. The one fumble. I wish we could get that back. We've done a fairly decent job of taking some away, but we've had chances at others and didn't get them. And we've got to do a better job with both taking care of the ball. There is no reason that a ball should come out. Well, there's a reason. We don't do a good job securing it, but it shouldn't happen. So do better with that and try to take some more away. I think that affects a game pretty strongly. I mean, the statistics will tell you that, you know, almost 80% of the games are won by the team that has that wins the turnover margin. So if you have just one more takeaway than your opponent, you're going to win almost all the time. So that's certainly a point of emphasis for us. And, you know, we keep working at it.
Any others for Coach?
Yeah, Jeff, on that same point, obviously Markel and Jabari getting the interceptions, and interceptions are great, but how about forcing the fumbles? Do you think is that something that you really want to emphasize and maybe pick up a few more than you've gotten so far?
Well, if you watch us in pregame warmups, we do a turnover circuit in pregame warmups. That's how important it is to us. Guys trying to knock the ball out on a pass rush, guys trying to punch the ball out when a runner has the ball. We work on scooping up fumbles. We do that in pregame. So it's a huge point of emphasis for us, certainly.
But are you seeing it in game action? And when you're reviewing the film, do you see, man, you could have reached there? Or
Well, our guys are going for it. The most important thing is to secure the tackle. Yeah. Secure the tackle first, then go for the ball. And typically it's the next guy in that has a chance to get the ball out. There's just times where you go to tackle the ball carrier and he goes down, or you have two people tackling him and he goes down right away, and there's not that opportunity to take a swipe at it or take a punch at the ball and try to get it out. But we work turnover circuits in practice, and our guys are going for it. They're trying. I saw some efforts to get it out. There's examples of that from a year ago of guys, you know, grabbing the ball and ripping it out and it coming loose. So we'll continue to do that, and hopefully we'll get some of those back. And those are big plays. And anytime we turn the ball over, it helps the other team. And anytime we can take a ball away, I think it helps us.
Jeff, can you give us your appreciation for playing MAC and leagues of that similar ilk?
Max and leagues of what now?
Playing a school from the Mid-America and leagues that are similar. What, you know, I think people always focus on the Power 5 conferences, but I think you probably have a lot of respect for the MAC and school and leagues like that.
We certainly do. And you only have to look at their records and records against Power 5 schools and the wins that those leagues and those teams have against those big schools. And Miami's a team that they don't shy away from it. I mean, they played the number 8 team in the country. They played Minnesota. They played Iowa last year. They played the biggest and best teams in the country. They often are squaring off against those Big Ten teams, and they don't have to go play a bunch of those guys, but they do. And so great respect for Miami and for that league. Only look at what Toledo did a couple of weeks ago against Notre Dame. They had that game. They had a game won and earned it. So it's a great league. We've played a lot of teams out of that league, and so they're a good league, as are the other group of 5 leagues. And I like the fact that we play teams from all of them, that we're able to, because we're independent, to schedule teams from all across the country, from all of the conferences. And I think that just helps our brand, and it helps us recruit guys from different parts of the country, knowing that we're going to touch some of those leagues that they're very familiar with.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, Coach,
Last one for Coach.
Coach, just like to ask you about special teams and field goals. Cole Talley had the 31-yard field goal against Western Kentucky, and then Quinn Moretsky had the 28-yard field goal against UConn. Does that give the players and yourself confidence in the field goal capability for the team?
They're both really good kickers. Quinn obviously handled all those duties for us the last half of the year last year, and made a couple big kicks in the Army-Navy game. And I think Cole Talley's got a great leg. I think anybody that's watching the games can tell that the ball really jumps off of his foot. He's done a great job on kickoffs. Ball lifts really, really well on PATs and field goals. So we got a lot of confidence in both of those guys. And it's nice to have 2 kickers that we are confident in, and to have a kicking game that, when it comes to points being at stake, that we feel good that if we'll protect him and get the ball off on time, that it's got a good chance to go through the uprights.